Thank you for bringing me here. Sometimes to find the light, we must first touch the darkness. One cannot satisfy thirst by drinking seawater. One can. What vessel is this?
They will answer your questions, not I.
All I could do was swim. Swim.
When people talk about the Rings of Power, one of the things that they have the biggest gripe about is Galadriel. And this version of Galadriel is supposed to be the much younger version of the one we see in the trilogy Lord of the Rings.
I know what it is you saw, for it is also in my mind. It is what will come to pass if... I come for Mithrandir, and I will leave with him. If you try to stop me, I will destroy you.
God damn! Even though I was very young when I saw this, and I don't remember a lot about it, the one thing that stood out to me was Legolas, of course. Because he's an expert archer, he embodies a powerful elf, and he's cheeky and just a memorable character. And Galadriel. Galadriel's the one I really remember out of many people. She barely appears in the trilogy, but yet she stood out to me so much. So when I heard that Rings of Power was going to be focusing on her, I was actually kind of not really excited, but I was okay with it. They did get somebody to cast as her who looked... Ew. Okay. Okay, for the most part. The casting wasn't so bad. But yes, there are a lot of flaws with this character. Yeah, she's a younger version, but goodness gracious, if this very fiery and antagonistic person is who she was in the books as she was growing up, then man, she had a lot of growing to do, and I can understand how that would put off a lot of people. So many people probably want to see exactly what people are talking about because they think that people are being unreasonable when they say this. So let's take a journey and a deeper look at Galadriel and why her portrayal in Rings of Power wasn't really the best. So we start off where she's being picked on by these kids. She's ostracized because no one wants to play with her, probably because she's freaking weird. She sets her boat in the water, and the other elven kids decide to use stones and throw at her little swan.
Stop! I told you it wouldn't float. Get off me!
Lose your footing again, Galadriel.
So already we see that she's picked on, and she was at least relatable to me in that regard because I've been bullied as well. I know how that feels. The one thing that lost the relatability for me is when I was little, I did not fight my bullies. I just went off to be myself. She's already in a position of power here. She basically was getting picked on, but she already showed the audience that I am prepared to beat the shit out of anyone who picks on me, and I'm stronger than my bullies. Even starting as a child, there's no room for her to grow here, with the exception of her brother probably not being okay with her exhibiting violence. Usually when they have protagonists who are kids being bullied, the one thing that's relatable is that the kids are at a place where they don't have enough power. They need a way to have some sort of glow up. And even when the Losers Club in Stephen King's It fights back, they're on the other side of the river and they have to run for their lives. They're called the Losers Club for a reason. So it makes the payoff a little bit more tasty. In the end, when the Loser Club, who couldn't beat other people, were able to come together and beat up this eldritch entity, which was stupid in and of itself. But still, that's the point. They were more relatable. Little girl overpowering her bully in front of all the other bullies, being able to beat him with the sunshine shining on her. She's already girl bossing it up. Not relatable in the least. Where is she supposed to go from here? They were just showing us her personality in this.
It was a good ship, sister.
I made it just as you taught me.
Do you know why a ship floats and a stone cannot?
I know this doesn't necessarily have anything to do with Galadriel, but this is supposed to be her big brother who's supposed to be some kind of idol to her. She looks up to him, but he's a freaking idiot. He's saying a whole bunch of nothing. I know he was trying to reach her here, but what exactly are you saying?
Because the stone sees only downward. The darkness of the water is vast and irresistible.
That doesn't make any sense. If we're supposed to be seeing this through Galadriel's eyes, maybe she's remembering it wrong or something. First of all, stones and water. The stone is seeing the dark. I would have expected him to say something along the lines of all that compressed density makes the stone so cramped that it becomes heavy, while a ship spreads its wings or something because it has a higher surface. I don't know, there was a way more poetic way that they could have done this. But it just came off as though they told the person to say something falsely arcane or something along those lines on the spot, and he just came up with that. This is supposed to be a moment between Galadriel and her brother where she looks up to him, and this is a very pivotal thing that he has said to her that's going to change her life, and it means absolutely nothing.
The ship feels the darkness as well, striving moment by moment to master her and pull her under. But the ship has a secret. For unlike the stone, her gaze is not downward but up, fixed upon the light that guides her.
What the fuck?
Okay. I've heard people who were stoned come up with better lines of philosophy and thought than this. I don't know what kind of hashish they have out there, but the brother definitely needs to get off of it. It's probably why he died in battle.
Fixed upon the light that guides her, whispering of grander things than darkness ever knew.
But sometimes the lights shine just as brightly reflected in the water as they do in the sky. It's hard to say which way is up and which way is down. How am I to know which lights to follow?
Well, gosh darn holy shit, didn't think about that, I didn't think that far. Why are you asking questions, bitch? You can see the gears turning in his head for a good moment while he saw one. He's like, how am I gonna come up with it? Like, I just wanted to say something to make her think and not think too hard, and now she's thinking too hard and actually taking seriously what I said. Ooh, word salad, let's think of something.
But that seems so simple.
The most important truths often are.
Why did he have to whisper it to her? Did he know the audience was watching and calling him out? And he was like, just go with it. You're embarrassing me. So already not off to a good start. At least for me, this is where it started to kind of fall apart. I'm still interested in seeing the story, but this was just like a very useless scene. And all it made it look like is that Galadriel was already in a place of power.
Legion of elves went to war.
So they do an exposition dump, and we find out that poor Galadriel lost her brother. And if that was the only thing we had to go off of, really wasn't much there to make me feel sorry for her or the brother, to be honest, because I'm sorry, the brother was an idiot. All you have to know is she loved her brother, but yet it's not really expounded on much past what we see in the first scene. We see that she's upset because her brother died, but we really don't see the closeness that they actually have. That scene felt so pretentious and unnecessary and stupid that it detracted away from the relationship they would have had. The sister didn't seem to look at her brother as though he were the best thing, the best person in the world. I mean, I know they're trying to make it probably realistic, but there was just zero chemistry there. And when I say chemistry, I mean you look at those two and you believe that's her big brother. That did not feel like her brother at all. Then she goes on this journey for revenge because, of course, her brother died. She takes her team around the world and to these dangerous areas.
Commander Galadriel. This company has followed you to the very edge of the world, but none who ever dared search for this last stronghold has ever found anything. It's been years since the last orc was sighted. Is it not possible the other commanders are right, and our enemy is no more? Night is closing in.
So the person here, who's her sub-commander or what have you, is telling her, yo, we're chasing nothing. I understand you're hurting, but we're cold, and this has been years, and we've been following you, and this is fruitless. You can already see her getting angry. Understandably, she has a reason to be, even though the reason why she's angry doesn't feel as warranted as it should due to the surface level reason that was given in the very beginning. Yes, her brother died and she loved her brother, but their closeness was not aptly portrayed in such a manner to make us believe the ire that she's feeling and her actions, which have resulted in her taking years and years and years to go chase down the person responsible. If you had told me that her brother was estranged and she only saw him once in a while, I'd believe you. I get that elf culture is different, but I'm just saying from the general audience, that's what they see. For some perspective, we look at one of my favorite movies of all time, The Land Before Time, where we follow the main character, Littlefoot, and his mother and his grandparents. Right off the bat, we see her interaction with him. We hear her talk to him. She feels like a real person. But then we see some more interactions of him speaking with his mother and being close to her. She has that poetic way of speaking too, but she feels more real. The way that she shows him affection, the way that she exhibits worry when she believes that he's in danger.
Littlefoot. Three-horns never play with long necks. Mother, what's a long neck?
Why, that's what we are, dear.
Oh.
When she has to save her kid and his friend in the end, we see a side of her that is motherly. She is willing to put herself in danger. We actually see her get hurt. We see the moment when she suffers injuries, and despite that, she is still trying to save her child. So throughout seeing the relationship that Littlefoot builds with his mother, and her sacrificing herself for him, when he's looking for her and can't find her, since they're going on this journey together and she's still like alive but half gone, he tries to urge her to get up. When she finally stops speaking, it is so much more sad, and it feels like a greater payoff. I don't really want to call it a payoff, but it's more meaningful. Their relationship was more meaningful. Every time I watch Land Before Time, aside from me completely like dogging on Littlefoot now because he's an idiot, I do remember his mother, and his grandparents have that same effect in the later movies. You can understand Littlefoot's anger, but not Galadriel's more so, because we didn't have enough time for that relationship with her brother to sit so that it meant something to us, or we could understand what it meant to her.
Perhaps it would be wise to camp here, and tomorrow begin the journey home.
We're losing the light.
So now we see that she doesn't care about her people. She's selfish and she only cares about her own revenge. And you think that this is a great way to start a character arc. However, because we already started off with her looking like she could handle herself and being someone who had the ability to beat the shit out of someone since she was little, it just ends up making her look like a bully. Then they meet a snow troll. You to take a look at what's happening here. All of these people that followed Galadriel are supposed to be her top warriors. Even if you argue that she's the best, these guys are supposed to know how to fight. They have been alongside her for many years and have tons of experience. Yet they get so easily bodied by a troll as elves that have zero reaction time. It looks like Galadriel just knows all the moves to completely body this troll, and all of her followers, God bless their little elven hearts, had no idea what the hell they were doing, and she just came in and she's like, that's how you get it done. You guys are just useless. You're here for moral support. You're my emotional support animals. Look, I might not know a lot about the Lord of the Kings universe, but maybe it's just me, but I always saw elves as super agile, and especially if they have a lot of fighting experience, a fight like this, all of them would be strategically moving out of the way, at least. Even if they couldn't land a good hit on the troll, they at the very least would be able to dodge its attacks, but none of them were dodging. None of them. And Galadriel just comes in, and right off the bat, she's super powerful, can do no wrong. She's just hitting all of everything. The troll's just acting like, oh, Galadriel, it's you? And she's like, yeah, remember what we talked about? And the troll's like, oh yeah. I'm gonna throw the fight. All right. Just don't hit me too hard. And she's like, nah, bro, we gotta make it look believable. And he just kneels down and looks at her and waits for her to do all the moves. And all the other elves were like, oh my god, amazing. It just came off really cringy to me. So already, this is only the beginning, the first 16 minutes of the first episodes of Rings of Power. And we're supposed to be rooting for Galadriel, but what exactly are we rooting for? So now we can only go one place from here. She's always been powerful, and she's gonna get humbled really, really fast. And everyone's like, oh my god, you are super powerful, more powerful than you ever were before.
Then you shall do so alone.
Why is she upset though? You obviously can handle yourself alone. So why do you need people to follow you? This would have meant more if the people actually fought valiantly and still lost, but, you know, or this would have been more of a payoff had she been fighting and they had to kind of rescue her because she was so angry she lost sight of her strategy or what have you, and they came in, lost a few people, and ended up saving her. And then they're like, okay, enough is enough. Look at how many lives you've cost us. You're obviously unhinged, and if you're not willing to come back with us, then you finish this journey by yourself. We're not risking your necks for you anymore. So I don't even understand why them laying down their swords and going home means anything in this sense, because they're all freaking useless, as we've seen. So this is one of the reasons this was a point off for Galadriel being the main character, and why people use a term such as girl boss. So her whole thing is Sauron is still out there, he escaped, she wants to find him. Every time we see callbacks to her brother, it means absolutely nothing. Again, he wasn't enough of a staple for us to have felt like his death meant anything. It means something to her, oh no, but she's not relatable, so we don't care. Then we get this scene between her and her friend, and the way she speaks to him is so condescending. She makes it seem, or at least the writers do through her portrayal, that she is the only one who would ever have experiences.
I go to seek the enemy that escaped us in the north, alone, if I must.
Ah yes, your mystery sigil. I shared it with the High King.
Then why would
Because seeing a sigil does not mean you're any closer to finding Sauron. It is over. The evil is gone.
Then why is it not gone from in here?
Also, what the hell was that supposed to mean? I mean, she's right, but the way that they executed this was just so interestingly bad. The way they wrote Elrond was so bad. And I'll get into why, but already the way that they set this up, they're trying to have us as the audience believe or feel bad for Galadriel that nobody around her believes her accounts. She's supposed to look crazy and that she's going on a wild goose chase, risking the neck of others, which she could have done a better job at leading, to be honest. So that didn't help her case one bit and doesn't make her relatable or likable. But then they write Elrond in such a way where he doesn't believe her either and dismisses her, but you cannot blame him because this has been years now, and all she's been doing is getting people around her killed.
After all you have endured, it is only natural to feel conflicted.
Conflicted? I am grateful you have not known evil as I have, but you have not seen what I've seen.
I have seen my share.
You have not seen what I have seen.
This is giving that scene from She-Hulk.
Especially your anger.
Well, here's the thing, Bruce. I'm great at controlling my anger. I do it all the time. When I'm catcalled in the street, when
Bitch, stop. Nobody's catcalling you.
incompetent men explain my own area of expertise to me, I do it pretty much every day, because if I don't, I will get called emotional or difficult, or might just literally get murdered. So I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than you. So
I have to learn how to control your anger. Don't mansplain me with this Hulk stuff, even though I've never done it before. Look, Bruce, I get catcalled on the street, and men try to tell me how to do my job. I think I'm better at handling my anger, okay? I think I have it way harder than you do, Bruce. I'm sorry, you have it harder than me? First of all, I don't know your experiences as a woman. I don't want to invalidate or belittle your experiences as a woman, and I'm so sorry that you have to go through that, but you have it harder than me? The entire government hunted me down. Yeah, they tried to murder me, okay? Men follow me too, sometimes. Scarlet Witch used her powers on me, hypnotized me, and used me to destroy the city, which she still hasn't apologized for, by the way, and I probably killed a lot of people in that destruction. Yeah, I should probably be in prison, under the prison, honestly. Wow, mansplaining. Again. Big deal, okay? I get gaslit and manipulated by men all the time. So I was trapped on a planet for 2 years, out of my mind. Ever been trapped in the patriarchy?
Man, I'm dead.
But you have not seen what I've seen.
I have seen my share.
You have not seen what I have seen.
And yet we don't get to actually really see what she's seen either, which makes this scene all the more deplorable. People don't like it because it is condescending and it dismisses Elrond's experiences and insights. The way it was written does so. And this was supposed to be one of the moments where it's supposed to build upon her characterization, right? And throughout the series, she is depicted as way more determined and capable in battle and more intelligent and more knowledgeable than everyone around her, including all the other elves. And from what I'm hearing from other fans, Elrond is a veteran of a lot of battles. And so he has dealt with the darkness of Middle-earth. He's not some person who's just some civilian sitting on the sidewalk waiting for Galadriel to come home and tell him of her journeys. So when I was watching this the first time around, I thought that he was inexperienced. I didn't even know really who he was, but the way that they write the scene makes it seem as though Galadriel has been traveling out there and she has way more experience than him. And he's an idiot because he doesn't believe her. Also, we already start out, as I said, with her being little as some sort of superpowered person. And when I say superpowered, I mean she is set above in character and importance and strength above everyone else. This is not a humbling experience. This is not a situation where she is like Iron Man, super powerful or super rich and popular, and then she gets PTSD or something happens that requires her to lose herself or doubt herself or what have you. She's always depicted as super strong all the time, to the point where she doesn't seem human, which I know is ironic because she's an elf. But her having this near messianic portrayal, who is the only person who can see this looming threat of Sauron, and she's super wise and powerful, it just seems to be forced, unnatural, and extreme. And it's the reason why people get really annoyed with the strong female character trope. It doesn't make for that interesting of a story or make for her being a very likable character when there's nothing to build up to. Hey, look guys, here's this woman who can do no wrong and nobody believes her and she's better than everyone, but already super powerful. And they're like, come with us. And she's like, no, you guys have not seen what I've seen. It's gonna jump into the water and just swim. And apparently, elves have the ability to swim for many hours and many miles in the sea. I forgave this scene personally because I figured she's an elf, she's not a human. She might be able to last a lot longer if she's floating than regular people should. But I bet you her other elven friends would have died a long time ago. And you're telling me that during the entire extended period that she was in the water, that not once did she ever see a creature like this, or the creature saw some random piece of flesh floating in the ocean and it was, no? Really? Nothing. How convenient.
It is all you need to know.
Important elf business, no doubt.
What have elves ever done to you? Do you blame us for your being stranded here?
The way I see it, it wasn't elves that chased me from my homeland.
And throughout the series, she has this very snarky, perpetually angry attitude that doesn't particularly change by the end of the season.
One of the Eldar. On board my ship. Strange tides indeed.
What vessel is this?
Be at ease. I'm obliged to deliver you safely to my betters. They will answer your questions, not I.
To what port do we sail?
And although she's depicted as being more knowledgeable, she also is accidentally shown as being really stupid or just extremely rude because he just said that they'll answer your questions, and she immediately goes and asks him another question.
Since when did men like me build kingdoms such as this?
These men are not like you. In the Great War, your ancestors stood with the Morgoth. These men stood with the elves.
One of the things that you'll notice about Galadriel is the way that she delivers her lines. She always has this perpetual anger and this extreme, gratuitous intensity with everyone. She's just talking to this guy. You can't tell if she's praising or criticizing someone. Oh my god, we get it, you're upset. Even in the places where she's not upset, she always has this upset face, this expression as though she knows more than everybody else. Look, she's always angry. I think she's trying to pull on the other actress, the older actress, but she still has this this softness. Even when she's being serious, she has this regal face to her, the older actress. This person just comes off looking frustrating. She's constantly on edge or displeased with everyone around her, and it makes her look unapproachable and abrasive. And I know I drew the comparison to Tony Stark from Marvel, but the difference between Tony Stark, who was humble at several points during the MCU, is that he was at the very least very likable.
Is it cool if I take a picture with you?
Yes, it's very cool.
I'd love you in A Christmas Story, by the way.
Lab's all set up, boss.
Oh, actually, he's the boss. I just pay for everything and design everything and make everyone look cooler.
You've been called the Da Vinci of our time. What do you say to that?
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't paint.
And what do you say to...
Put it down! Goldstein.
Yes, Mr. Stark.
Give me a fat beat to beat my buddy's chest.
Play ball with these ass clowns.
F*** you, Mr. Stark. F*** you, buddy. We're adjourned.
In And see, it works on him, because that's his personality. It's natural. People joke and say that Tony Stark is playing Robert Downey Jr., because that's how Robert Downey Jr. actually is in real life. He's very charismatic. He's not playing someone who's charismatic. That's how he is. It's natural to him, and you can tell. Galadriel, on the other hand, and a lot of other modern female characters, it feels very forced, like they're trying to make them be stoic and looking at a guy like Tony Stark or one of those nameless action movie stars that people often forget, and they tell them do that when it doesn't fit their character at all. She also constantly speaks in a way that seems very condescending to everyone around her, even when the people around her have just as much or more experience than her. She comes off not fit to lead, and as though she's constantly trying to prove her superiority. Now we look at Legolas being portrayed in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and he exudes calmness and composure despite him being angry, scared, or what have you. And he has his moments when he is showing off being egotistical, but the difference is it looks more natural on him. He's a lot more relatable, and he doesn't always look perpetually angry. He also knows how to be respectful, something that Galadriel needs a lesson in.
Ancestors were not given anything. They paid for this isle with the blood of their kin.
What the elf means.
Then if blood be the price of passage, I will pay it. But one way or another, I will depart.
Even when she's smiling, she looks as though somebody removed the meat that she's tearing off a corpse and devouring.
Or are you a castaway, grasping for a handhold in a tempest? There is a tempest in me!
So then we come to season 1, episode 5. Now, I know that I keep on harping on this, but I want to make it clear why there is a disconnect, because people might be saying that they don't like Galadriel or don't like this portrayal of her, but they don't really know how to put it into words. And that's essentially what I'm trying to do.
Sometimes to find the light, we must first touch the darkness.
Ugh. So this is one of the situations that highlight the broader problems with this series. So her statement, sometimes to find the light, you must first touch the darkness.
So will you.
And this is meant to mirror her brother's earlier metaphor about the rock sinking and the ship floating. Her brother's advice about the rock seeing only darkness, looking upwards to she only sees light. It's supposed to be like a poetic way of conveying the idea of, I guess, hope and perseverance or something. But the two metaphors don't even align thematically or logically. So not only is it inconsistent in the writing of the character and the show itself, but even in something as small of a detail as the freaking metaphor that this whole thing is based off of. The first metaphor implies that people must keep their eyes on the light or on hope to stay afloat. This essentially is suggesting that when you focus on positive things, uplifting things, it will keep you on the right path. I mean, I'm guessing that's what he was going for, which was still lost on most people because of how freaking asinine it was. And it felt rushed and fake. On the other hand, Galadriel's metaphor about touching darkness to find light suggests a different kind of journey, one where experiencing or confronting evil is necessary to achieve goodness. And these are two fundamentally different ideas, and Rings of Power's attempting to connect them, and it feels really forced, just as her brother's saying, in an attempt to encourage her, felt forced and useless. And people might not be able to put together their thoughts on why this feels so disjointed, but it's like the writers wanted to make this deep philosophical statement, but didn't really fully think through how those concepts relate to each other, and as a result, you get this weird dialogue that feels really disjointed and confusing to the audience.
Sometimes to find the light, we must first touch the darkness.
What do you know of darkness? Whose dagger was it, Galadriel? Who is it you lost?
My brother.
Okay, so as I've said before, this falls flat. I mean, don't get me wrong, the actress is doing the best job she can with the role she's been given, but none of this matters to me. I feel absolutely nothing, and I'm the kind of person, I have 2 brothers, I have a father. Whenever it comes to someone losing a family member, if it is portrayed well and if it's believable, I start crying because I'm a heavy empath. I can feel what others would be feeling, but the fact that I absolutely did not feel anything in regards to Galadriel having lost her brother says a lot. Rings of Power gives us so very little time to understand and connect with Galadriel's brother. to the point of him being a comedic element, because that's how NPC he comes across. Like, we're just shown these little glimpses of like, oh my god, look, I'm handsome, aren't I cool? I'm a big brother. Him speaking nonsense, and glimpses of him going into battle or not really even battling. It's just an exposition dump. We see him like kind of fighting, and then you don't even focus on him. You barely focus on him. You just see the big fight overall. So we're not concentrating on her brother. We just see Galadriel taking up what I assume is his helmet, and we see this little, barely a few seconds of his dead body. So we see the aftermath of this fight, but these moments are not enough to build a strong emotional connection between us and this character. Why do we care? We're told that Galadriel loved her brother, and they're trying to make us believe that she did because she's crying and she's angsty. You know, like his death was a significant loss for her, but we're not shown this in a way that allows us to feel it deeply. For some perspective, IRL, I know it sounds horrible, but I never had a relationship with my grandmother. I can't even really say that I loved her because I didn't know her. She wasn't a really nice person regardless. But when we had to go to her funeral, I went specifically for my mom and my uncle's sake. And I remember my father asked me, "You're not crying for your grandma?" Because he knows me to be a very extremely sensitive person. Like, I'm the kind of person, if I don't see my dad in a long time, I just start bawling in his arms. And I told him straight, "Daddy, I didn't know her. Like, I'm not gonna just cry for someone who I barely had a connection with. I've seen her a few glimpses throughout my life. She did barely jack for me. Like, why would I shed a tear? Why would that be meaningful to me?" And as horrible as that sounds, when there's not enough time to build a connection emotionally with someone, whether it be through real life connections or even through portrayals on screen, you cannot expect people to care. Oh my god, she's crying, okay? The emotional impact of a character's loss hinges on the audience's ability to relate to the relationship that's being shown to us. And in this case, we don't get to see any meaningful interactions between Galadriel and her quagmire-jawed brother that would make us care about their bond. There are no flashback to happier times, no scenes of shared moments that would illustrate their connection, other than that foolish one that everyone memes on. So when she's talking about, "I lost my brother to darkness," it feels really abstract and not personal in the least. It feels generic, like some kind of outline on some AI written script somewhere that someone took off a shelf. Why is this person doing this? We need a reason. Come up with something quick. I don't know, she lost her brother. Why was she close with her brother? Oh, well, she was being bullied, but not really, because she was gonna beat the shit out of a kid's face just because he sank her paper boat, and her brother tucked her hair behind her ear and said, "Do you know why rocks sink and ships don't? Because lights and hope and just put some mumbo jumbo. That's the reason." And that's it. And then he dies. Okay, got it. That's our script. And they're trying to show us through this, the darkness consuming her. Like, they're telling us that Galadriel is grieving and she's driven by her brother's death. But this Rings of Power show doesn't really depict or show us enough of why this grief is so consuming for her. Without seeing the depth of her and her brother's relationship, us as the audience is left to take Galadriel's word for it rather than feeling the loss ourselves. And as a result, every action that she does to put people in danger, or her being angry with everyone around her, just falls flat, and it makes us disconnect with her even more. Let's use Tom Holland's Spider-Man in the MCU for a second, right? Throughout the Spider-Man films with Tom Holland, we see this well-developed, loving relationship between Peter Parker and Tony Stark, and Peter Parker and Aunt May. Aunt May, even in this young version, I like her. She's a central figure in his life. More than just a guardian, she's his moral compass, his source of strength, and someone that he and everyone around her admires and loves. Their relationship is shown through multiple scenes of them interacting, from everyday conversations to more significant moments where she offers guidance and support. So she's a fully fleshed out character in her own right, with her own beliefs, personality, and values. And you may be saying, well, they had enough time to do this with the movies. Rings of Power, what was it, like $60 million each episode? You didn't think they had enough time? Also, Littlefoot's mother, the other example I used earlier, you don't really see that much of her either, but yet she is still, to this point of the Land Before Time universe, an integral character. The whole reason why Littlefoot has his moral compass. It may seem surface level to a lot of people, but her character, Littlefoot's mom, definitely isn't. They had enough time, trust me. For this to be such a pivotal part of Galadriel's whole being and her whole reason for doing things, they could have given us one whole episode past just a few seconds or like the first 5 minutes of her and her brother to make it more impactful. So as I said, the bond between Peter and Aunt May is relatable to the audience because it's built on genuine love and care, mutual respect. She feels like a family member. We can actually see them being a family. And so when Peter loses her, I mean, God, even with the Tony Stark scene, it feels heart-wrenching. As a matter of fact, in almost every Spider-Man movie, when Peter Parker loses someone, Uncle Ben, Harry, Mary Jane, when he thinks he's breaking up with her, we feel it.
It's okay. We're okay, right?
Yeah. Knocked on my ass.
Yeah, me too.
That's all.
I think I broke my ribs.
They would have been killed. You did the right thing.
It's not my responsibility, mate.
Oh. What Norman said? My moral mission. No.
No,
Peter, you listen to me. You have a gift. You have power. And with great power, there must also come great responsibility.
Do you see how powerful the scene was? Even watching it now, editing this video, man, I got lost in it. I almost forgot that I was recording for a separate video. And because I know what happens, but it feels so raw and real. The lead up to her death is so intense and emotional and wow. And so we as the audience are taken through these high-stake battles and a false sense of relief when we're like, okay, she's good, she might be okay. And then when only saw this movie once, and then I remember the scene though. Ooh, I just felt the chills. I feel like I'm gonna cry because I know that just watching this, I know what happens afterwards. That's how you know you've made an impactful scene. And the sequence here is drawn out enough. Notice there's no music. Or very little, so that we can feel the tension, and then afterwards, all of this, the heartbreak that Peter experiences, making her loss resonate deeply with us, making us completely understand the reason for Peter's actions subsequently.
What happened? Are you okay?
Okay.
Yeah, you're okay. What happened?
Just a second. Just catch my breath.
Okay, well, you catch your breath. I'm right here. We're gonna take our time. You catch your breath, and then we'll take you to a doctor, okay?
Oh my God, I can't watch this. I'm sorry. I can't. I can't even watch this. I have to fast forward through it, and just because I wanted to actually lead to the scene with him and Green Goblin, and then see, I can't watch this. I'm sorry. God damn, I do not need to cry right now. I'm already going through a lot. Anyways, she passes away, and as you can see, you can watch it yourselves. If you didn't watch this movie, what the frick are you doing? But anyway, my fault. Should have told you there were spoilers. The movie's been out a long time now. Anyway, so he is unhinged. Peter is unhinged. After Aunt May's death, his grief is raw and you can feel it. It's very palpable. We can see the shift in him. We're like, oh shit. And there was this dude when he was beating the shit out of Goblin, the dude in the audience was like, fuck him up. And I'm like, yo, that guy felt it. That guy felt it. He was like, fuck him up. And then when Toby stopped Peter, the guy was like, the fuck are you doing, Toby? I'm so grateful and privileged that I got to see this in theaters. Like, oh my God. But now you can understand. Look at the contrast with how he behaves in his grief versus Galadriel.
I just want to kill you myself.
Attaboy.
And just for some perspective, in case everyone forgot or didn't know, he just lost his aunt. This wasn't just like many years later just coming to contact with this guy. It's this raw. It literally just happened. And you know, because he's still all scratched up and Peter Parker does have the healing ability. And the contrast is so much better in this because he went from being a hopeful, optimistic Spider-Man to someone consumed by pain and anger and a desire for revenge. We never saw him like this ever before. Since we were introduced to Galadriel as a little girl, before she even lost her brother, she's always had this violent, better than everybody, stronger than everybody kind of personality. There was nothing for us to be like, oh, she's the way she is. She became dark because of what happened with her brother. They didn't even give us that. She just, the same person she was back then is the same person that she is now, just a worse version. This transformation that we see in Peter and the one we see in Tobey Maguire's version of when he's Venom, that made more sense because it is a stark contrast in result of loss. Damn. And see, both of them know this anger. We see the two Tobys. By the way, this is how you do a cameo. This is how you do nostalgia baiting. This movie made a lot and resonated with audiences because it was kind of a cash grab. It was to kind of bring fans in, but it was still meaningful because these guys already had their own franchises and they brought them back where it was meaningful because we already had the multiverse and stuff. So it made sense. Everything made sense. It worked. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man had gone through the same thing. And so people who watched that, this scene was even, the scene that's about to happen is even way more impactful as a result because this guy, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, who's much older now and jaded, realizes that the younger Spider-Man is him when he was younger. And he didn't want him to make the same mistake because it follows you. Oh my god. I was crying. Look at his face. Tobey Maguire is a goat, man. Dude knows how to emote. He doesn't have to say anything. His face is its own actor. Sweet Jesus. You look at all the pain in his face. He's speaking 1,000 words to this guy right now, and all of us know exactly what he's saying without him having to say anything. All of us can understand and sympathize with Tom Holland's rage because they've been through the emotional journey with him. They understand this Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker, because they understand what he went through. They went through the emotional journey with him. And this makes the moment when Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man stops him from killing Green Goblin so much more powerful. And it represents this moment of clarity and redemption for Peter. A reminder of who he truly is despite all the overwhelming grief. This guy is telling him, yo, this is not what you would have wanted. You're gonna make a mistake. It's not worth it, man. Don't let this be the legacy of Aunt May. Like, he's saying all those things. Oh my god. Oh, I just want to watch this movie again, man. So, all of that to say, I had to use this as an example because when people are like, oh, well, you don't know what you're talking about, or how should they have done it? Look at the examples that worked. Notice nobody had a problem with this. By the way, had Tobey Maguire or this been Gwen or any other female character and they had exactly the same walk, this would have been understandable. We've seen this in so many anime. We've seen this in so many movies with female-led characters as well, and we understand when they're written well, like these characters were. So yes, people get pissed off when they see, in contrast, Galadriel's relationship with her brother and her actions in Rings of Power not getting nearly as much screen time or depth. It was just a significant loss for her. We're left to fill in the gaps, the emotional gaps, and no one's gonna do all that. The show isn't good enough for us to do all that. There's also no emotional buildup either. Her grief is like this backdrop to her character rather than a driving force that we have experienced alongside her. It also didn't build up to her brother's death in a way that allows us to feel the loss. Let's just say that what it is, right? Her whole meaning for revenge and this whole thing and using her brother as the thing that's making her all angsty, it's a plot device. It's just a random plot device, an event that happened in the past just to motivate Galadriel. Why is she doing what she did? Her brother died and this is why. Okay, let's move on. It's like a freaking adult entertainment. Like where the story is not really the biggest thing. They're like, what are they doing? They're stepsisters or stepbrother and stepsister and their parents away. All right, she comes to the room, start fucking. Like that. That's literally what this is. Okay, that's not literally what it is. You know what I mean? But that's kind of what this is like.
Come at me.
Another reason that Galadriel is annoying to many people is this scene right here, which I do agree, yeah, it looked very bad. So she's supposed to be training these Númenórean soldiers, right? Let's take a look at the battle or her sparring with them.
There are many ways to kill an orc. But for you, I will keep it strong and simple. Stab, twist, gut. Come at me.
Did they not already know how to do that? Okay, maybe she's trying to goat them into trying to attack her. Let's go.
We will see who can score flesh.
Anyone that does, I will promote to lieutenant.
Swordsmanship is about balance rather than strength. Fight with your feet, not your arms.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
So people were annoyed with this because of its execution. First of all, we have these Númenórean soldiers. Okay, they have zero experience whatsoever. But again, we already saw Galadriel on top of the world, on top of everyone. She's already been shown effortlessly overpowering and outmaneuvering multiple soldiers at once. Ugh. Including those people who are supposed to be well-trained and capable. No one knows how to fight any, like, some of the moves that she was doing. Look at how they're moving. For people who are to have a little bit of experience, you think even if they had a minimal, why are you swinging so widely with this big-ass trajectory? The telegraphing is just out of this world. Nobody realistically would fight like that. Look at all the telegraphing they're doing. And she's just like, oh my god, I'm so amazing. So even though it's understandable that Galadriel is meant to be a superior warrior, an elven warrior at that, the way this whole scene was choreographed feels super exaggerated and cartoonish. And this just further diminished the credibility of her character and that of the Númenórean people. It kind of puts me in mind of those martial arts segments when people are fighting, even in the John Wick movies. And you see that people often just attack the main character not at the same time, which would make sense. They're all doing this very outlandish extra dramatization to allow him to win. And it's cute and it's entertaining, but after you watch it a few times, you realize, okay, why are they not all attacking? You've got a group of people or two people, and one is always giving the main character enough time to disable the other one and not following through with their attacks enough so the main character looks like he's a badass and knows what he's doing, and it's fucking cringe. And it's the same mess that we see here with Galadriel, and the combat is depicted in this super simplistic and really juvenile manner. The scene actually feels like this playful version of a fight, people pretending to fight, rather than serious training. And it undermines the gravity of the situation, and of course people are like, okay, we're not taking this scene seriously, because all this is meant to do is, let's say it for what it is to make Galadriel look super badass than everybody else around her, including other elves. She does it in every scene. She's better than Elrond. She's better than all of her warrior people that have been fighting alongside her, who's supposed to be as good as her. She's better than the Númenóreans. She's better than everybody. Absolutely everyone. Nobody can beat Galadriel. There is nothing she can do wrong. There is never a moment here where she was down on her luck. Yeah, she might have been sad a few times and dirty, but she's stronger and faster and better. And what was the point of this? If she had been the main character in the Lord of the Rings trilogy and she was like this, I would not have been as interested. There would be nothing for her to overcome. What are we going along this journey with her for? It ain't a journey. It's just someone showing off, okay? Why would I relate to that? I don't want to see that. If I want that, I can look at a music video. So she starts off this whole show with her being a little girl, being depicted as overconfident and super powerful. And in the middle, she's overconfident and super powerful. And near the end, she's overconfident and super powerful. We only see her show a little bit of kindness and softness towards the other female character because she feels bad for her because now she's blind. Hell, to be honest, I liked this character a lot more. He felt more like an elf than she did. And there were times where he was captured and he had to get out of a situation and he felt more relatable in the times where he had to escape than she did. when the freaking villain is more likable than the hero herself. The reason why people like Halbrand or the Sauron guy better is because he had more depth than Galadriel did. I mean, this woman is defined by one single trait, her relentless pursuit of Sauron. And yes, it's admirable. It just makes her feel really one-dimensional. She has this one trick, this one expression. We see it in The Acolyte. We see it in many modern-day movies and shows, especially with female characters. They have the exact same expression as male characters in action films. Like Jason Statham and John Wick, they only have that one expression, that one face. And they're supposed to be like these avatars for fighting, that's the whole thing. But when you're telling a story and you actually want us to feel depth of the characters, not just some action movie, you need to give us something a little bit more. She's constantly portrayed as being driven by anger and a desire for vengeance, and it doesn't leave much room for other aspects of her personality to shine. So it feels very flat and repetitive, especially when she did not even grow as a character. There's no complexity to her whatsoever. She felt more like a side character. And I don't know what the hell happened to her brother from the first episode. I don't know if it was just me, but brother had a freaking downgrade. Maybe it's the lighting or something, or the hair. I don't know. Something's off. Yeah, I don't know. Something's not something. I don't know.
Touch the darkness once more.
What the fuck? What in the Cersei and Jaime Lannister freaking Targaryen shit is going on here? I'm sorry, what in the Folgers commercial from freaking how many years ago? Anyway, Sauron was way more interesting because he had this moral ambiguity. He was mysterious. Even though everyone guessed what his identity was, he still had an ambiguous past. He also was, I know, color me crazy, despite all the darkness he had in him, way more likable. We've seen more ebb and flow with his character than we saw with Galadriel's character, which is the reason why a lot of people don't like Galadriel. There's unresolved emotional struggles, which I guess are gonna be like, we'll see in the next season. But even if it's not completely resolved, there's no growth whatsoever. She just starts off as a determined warrior since she was little and just remains like that. No change, just static. Her journey feels stagnant. And when I was watching her, I was like, oh, I don't really wanna... Where's the next person? Where's the freaking hobbitses? Or the dark elf guy? They're more intriguing. The show is mainly about her, and she's the last person I want to see. And there they go again, making the sympathetic hot villain. It seems to be something that they're just like dipping their toes into freaking hot lava so that they can stuff it in your mouth and hope that you don't notice the heat. They're doing it with everything now. They're like, oh my god, it worked on this one thing, let's do it all the time. And I'm not even mad in this case, but when you've collectively been seeing it, it's kind of annoying and also very predictable. So yada yada, they're like, we gotta form our own path, and they made the 3 elven rings. Oh, but wait, she keeps it a secret that Halbrand is Sauron. I don't exactly understand why. I mean, maybe I'm stupid and I missed something, but I always found it kind of strange that she did not tell, especially Elrond. Like, she didn't tell anybody. Why? She was telling people that he was out there, and now that she finds him, she's like, nah. What it seems to me is just built on her own ego, because I think people would have probably been like, you were traveling with him and you didn't know this is who he was? The thirst was strong with you, bitch! And she's like super embarrassed or something, or she intends to go along with him. Either way, it just made no sense to me. Even if it was in the books initially, it made no sense to me. So people seeing that this was her driving force, going after this guy, then she's like, oh, I actually started liking him, so now I'm not going to tell anyone, even though it's really important information that people at Celebrimbor, whatever it's called, and her best friend should know. It just, that was even the nail in the coffin for some people with her, because it's just, the writing is just so weird. Now, this is coming from someone who, because I didn't know a lot of the Lord of the Rings lore, the show was actually okay. I didn't hate it. It was silly and it had a lot of issues, but as somebody who was brand new to a lot of this, I was like, all right, it's all right, kind of forgettable, but it was okay. Could have been worse things out there, but I could understand how fans of the Lord of the Rings trilogy and the lore leading up to this would be very pissed off because a lot of things that people were saying, especially in the way they wrote Galadriel's character, they basically massacred it in this. It just feels like any generic fantasy nowadays, which is probably not the greatest thing. Anyways, what do you think? Do you guys like Galadriel? I still like her overall as a character from the trilogy. Her portrayal was not the best in this. I think the only thing they did really well here was casting someone who kind of sort of looks like her, except sometimes in the lighting it looked weird, and try to do her mannerisms, and that's basically it.
Galadriel.
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 Thank you for bringing me here.